this tutorial, we're going to look at CSS and how CSS can help us with decorating our website. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and this basically saves a lot of work and can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. And the word cascading means that a style applied to a parent element will also apply to all children elements within the parent. So if you set the color of the body text to blue, for example, all headings, paragraphs, and other elements within the body will also get the same color, unless you specify something else. So I'll just show you in a minute how that works exactly. But this isn't always the case. Obviously, there are many ways that you can change the style of different elements, and CSS is one way that you can do it. But there are other ways as well. I mean, you can always use JavaScript as well as a way to style all the elements and even apply animation to your elements. Right. So we're going to look at the different types of elements. So we have block and inline elements. So I have two examples here that are most common and that you will be most familiar with later on, that you're going to use a lot, which is div and span. So a div is a block element that is used as a container for other HTML elements. Div basically stands for division, which is essentially an element that allows you to separate your website into different parts. And then by using this, you can actually style all your elements all in one container. So I'll just show you that in a second. We'll just look at span. Span is an inline element used to have multiple elements in one line. So inline basically simply stands for, it means that whatever objects or text that you have, they will all be in one line of your website. It won't be like separated into different lines, rather in just one line. So these are just two examples. They're quite common, but there's so many other different block and inline elements that you can use, and you can always refer to them in some website or Stack Overflow, for example. Right. So I used CSS to make this website. This is the main HTML document, and the CSS styles document is here. They're both in the same folder. So I'm just going to walk you through what I have done to make this website. It's pretty simple. It's not too complicated. I have my body element here, and within my body element, I have my main heading, and then I created two divisions. And I named it as the main paragraph and the second paragraph. And basically, to apply styles, you have to either, I'll write it here. Either you write class, and then it gives you the quotations, and then you can type anything you want. So that's how you can basically identify an element. Or you can also type ID. It's quite similar, but the thing is that with class you are able to apply the elements, apply the styles to all the elements rather than just one. And so, for example, I have here Q and ID. So the Q is basically quote blue, which is this thing that you see here. I called it blue text. And ID is basically an identification, so it's only going to be applied to what I wrote here. And and so my two divisions here, I've classified them, and then within them I have my paragraphs. So B, which is bold, CSS, so I made this thing bold, and then I have the rest of the text here. I put a break and then put the second paragraph the word cascading, so I put quotations there, and yeah, the rest of that. And then I put a break, I closed the division, and then I opened another division, gave it the classification of a second paragraph, and then within the div element I created another div element, which is called the second paragraph text. And this is basically what I did. So so you can see that I've made these things bold within my HTML document, and then I did the same thing by applying style. So you can, as I mentioned before in my previous tutorial, I think it was tutorial 6, where I said that you can apply the CSS styles within the HTML document. So I wrote style, then wrote color, I had red, so that it gives these two things a red color, and also made them bold, and then I wrote the rest of my text here. Right, let's just move on to the styles sheets. So this is how you essentially style the different elements, and to obviously give it a bit more color and a bit more style. So there are various ways that you can recall the different elements. For the main block elements, such as h1 and body, these two are block elements by themselves, so you don't have to write anything in the beginning. You can just type body, and then you give these curly brackets, and within the curly brackets you can apply the styles. So you can have background color, you have alignment, you have padding, margin, the width and height of your website, a lot of things. So I just gave the background color of my website a sort of color in RGB, and RGB is basically a way that you can give color to certain things. And I'll actually teach you this in a later tutorial. There are different ways that you can color it. But yeah, this gave me this background color of a pinkish background color. Then I have my the heading, and I gave it a text align center. So this just aligns the heading at the center of the web page. Then when you have class, right? For class attributes, you always have to put a dot, and for ID attributes, you always have to put a hash, as you can see there. So the blue text that I showed you here, to apply styling to it, I put a hash here, and then blue text, curly brackets, and then I gave it a color of blue. And for the class elements, the ones that are classified, you have to put a dot, and then I give the classification name, curly brackets, and then I gave the various styling elements. And you can always look them through in a website. I'll try to find a website where you can look at all the various styling attributes that you can apply in CSS. And yeah, that is all that is to CSS. There are a lot of other things that you can do. Yeah, and just a quick note that in the HTML document, you always have to link your style sheet. So my style sheet is here, and then you should always provide the link. So you press slash, and then you give the style sheet.css. That's what I did for this website. So if I don't get this, if I delete this, hit save, you can see all my styling is gone. So it's a good note that you always have linked your style sheet in order for the styles to be applied to your text and other objects in your website. Right, so that is it for this tutorial. I will give you further insight into the various things that you can do in CSS and the tutorials following this one. Thank you for watching.